Okay, question 25. Looks a bit of a fiendish question. Let's see if we can puzzle it out. A wind turbine can be modelled as a circle, radius 3 meters, with the centre of blades point O, okay, 5 meters above the base B. The blades turn in an anti-clockwise direction. Alright. 25A. 25A. A is a point at the end of the blade, h meters above the ground. So they've labelled this quite nicely for us. Angle AOB is x degrees. Show that that h is 5 minus 3 cos x. Okay. So it looks tricky, but I'm just going to sort of separate this out to help us see it without the sort of complication of having the blades and all the rest of things around the place. Okay, so I'm going to separate out the kind of key bits here, which is a trapezium like this, and that is my x, and I know that this is 3. I know this is 5. Okay, and I'm trying to find out this bit. And so I've already kind of very much simplified it for myself. You know, it's exactly the same as this, but it just doesn't look as complicated. Just like the previous question, which had to do with trigonometry, and I can see that this question has got to do with some trigonometry, I can think, what can I add to this diagram that will help me to understand it? And this is the key addition again. It's a line across like that. So I can see that this h bit here is 5 minus whatever this bit is here. That 5, take away this bit here, will give me the remaining amount there. So if I call this bit here, I'm just going to call it something that we haven't used at all in the question. We'll call that Q. Right? This bit here is Q. I'm going to call that Q. Okay. So I could call it whatever I like. I'm going to call it Q. So I can see that H is equal to 5 minus my Q. But that Q, I don't know what it is, so I'm going to work out what that Q is. And I can use trigonometry to do that, because I know that that's 3 meters there. And I can now use my trigonometry to do it. Because if I've got here an adjacent, in terms of this x, that's my adjacent, isn't it? That's my opposite. Don't know what that is, and that's my hypotenuse, which I do know what that is. So I can say that cos of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse, doesn't it? Q over 3. Okay, so Q, okay, therefore, if I times both by 3 cos x equals Q. And I've already said that the h is 5 minus that Q, and I've now worked out an expression for that Q, which is to do with cos x. And look, it's there. Right? So I've pretty much sorted it. I can just say, therefore, h equals 5 minus the Q, which I've worked out here as 3 cos x. Okay. So I've drawn a diagram to simplify it for myself. I've spotted that I can create a triangle which will help me work it out. And then I've just used my SOHCAHTOA to work out that cos was the key thing that I needed, and gone from there. It is tricky problem solving, but there are ways to sort of simplify it for yourself. It's only 2 marks as well, which is a bit, yeah, a little bit stingy. That's question 25A. Let's go on to question 25B. I have to turn the page. Right. I'm going to have to create a new diagram for this, I think. At one point, in the blade's rotation, the angle AOB, so let's just have a look here. So the angle AOB, so we're talking about the angle AOB, is 150 degrees. So it's going to be something like that, right, to make that angle 150 degrees, AOB. Okay, and what is the height of point A above the ground? So when that's 150 degrees, what is my height above the ground? And give my answer in that form. So let's draw ourselves a new diagram for this situation. We've got our 5 meters from the base, okay, and then we've got 150 degrees, and I haven't done that very accurately, but that's 5 meters, that's 3 meters, so I've definitely not drawn accurately. And I want to work out, don't I, that bit there, I'm just adding this into the diagram, that bit there is 5 meters. I want to work out my total height here. So if I can work out this bit here, let's call it T, why not, just for the sake of it, then my total height above the ground is 5 plus T. Okay, so height above, that's 150 degrees. Height above ground equals 5 plus my T from my diagram here. Now that whole thing there, we've been told, is 150 degrees. Right, here's the thing, I've put this line in, that helped me to see that this was 5 plus T, but it helps me again, because that is 90 degrees. So this bit here has got to be 150, take away 90, which is 60. That's got to be 60 degrees there. Great. And now I'm really away here. I can see the way this is going to work out. I'm going to need to use some more trigonometry here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out for myself SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA. Okay, SOHCAHTOA. So I can see, that I'm going to be needing to use this because I can see that I'm going to be able to work out T using SOHCAHTOA. So in relation to that 60 degrees, this would be my opposite. That's my hypotenuse. And those are the ones that I've got information for. I haven't got any information for that, so I'm not going to worry about that. So sine of 60 degrees equals my opposite, which I don't know, but that's T. Right, that's my opposite, over my hypotenuse, which is 3. Right, okay, good. So that means 3 sine 60, if I rearrange this by timesing both sides by 3. So 3 sine 60 equals T. And now remember, my total height was 5 plus T. So you should know what sine 60 is, but let's just put it in the calculator. This is a calculator paper, so I'm not going to shoot you if you don't know. So sine 60 is root 3 over 2. So if I times that by 3, because I want 3 sine 60, that's 3 root 3 over 2. So T equals 3 root 3 over 2 equals T. Oh, that's nice. So I've got T, so my height above the ground, equals 5 plus T, and my T was 3 root 3 over 2. Right, so I can put that in there and I'll get myself 3 marks. The reason why I won't get myself 4 marks for putting that in there is it's not yet in that form. And I just need a little bit of algebraic manipulation to be able to put it into that form. And what I can do is I can say, right, this 5, if I was to make that 5, So I included it on the top, 5 plus 3 over root 3 over 2. The problem is, it would then be basically the equivalent of 2.5 plus 3 root 3 over 2, which isn't correct. So to keep this as 5, I'm going to say that 5 plus root 3 over 3 root 3 over 2 is the same as 10 plus 3 root 3 if that's all over 2. Now hopefully you can see why, because this 5 would be created by 10 divided by 2, and then this 3 root 3 would also be over 2. So these two are equivalent, and it's now in this correct form, that many meters. So it's 10 plus 3 root 3 all over 2 meters.